Good morning. Today I want to remind you of a truth that lives deep inside your soul, a truth you may have forgotten because of years of pressure, fear, or self-doubt, and that is this: you were never meant to live in constant judgment of yourself. You were never meant to wake up and look in the mirror only to criticize the reflection staring back at you. You were never meant to carry the weight of guilt from your past or shame about who you are. That's not why you were put here. The truth is, judgment is a learned pattern, not your identity, and when you release it, you unlock a life of freedom, peace, and love that has been waiting for you all along. Judgment is heavy. It chains your mind. It blocks your joy. It robs you of presence, and it convinces you that you must keep striving to be enough. But hear me clearly, you are enough right now, exactly as you are, and you always have been. Every scar, every so-called mistake, every flaw you've picked apart has been part of your training ground, part of your soul's growth, part of the journey that is shaping you into the person you are always destined to be. The voice of judgment inside you is not your truth, it's just fear in disguise, and fear only has power when you choose to listen to it. The moment you recognize it and breathe love into that space, judgment loses its grip. You don't overcome judgment by attacking it, you overcome it by surrendering to love. Because love doesn't demand perfection, love accepts, embraces, and heals. When you begin to choose love over judgment, you begin to feel peace in places you once felt pain. You start to see yourself through kinder eyes. You realize that your worth was never tied to how well you performed, how perfect you appeared, or how much you achieved. Your worth was given to you the moment you were created, and nothing can add to it and nothing can take it away. So today, when that judgmental thought creeps in, when you hear that inner voice telling you that you are not good enough, not strong enough, not lovable enough, I want you to pause, breathe, and say to yourself, I choose peace. I choose love. I choose to see myself as God sees me, as love sees me, as my higher self sees me. That's how you disarm judgment, by replacing it with compassion, with gratitude, with truth. And as you practice this, something incredible happens. You begin to soften. You begin to feel lighter. You stop carrying the burden of trying to prove yourself. You stop comparing your journey to everyone else's highlight reel. You stop living from a place of shame, and you start living from a place of acceptance. And in that place, peace becomes not something you chase, but something you embody. The path to inner freedom is not about becoming someone different. It's about remembering who you already are, a soul designed for love, a being made of light, a spirit here to shine. When you stop judging yourself, you stop blocking that light, and the world gets to see you as you were always meant to be, radiant, whole, and free. That must be embraced in order to stop judging yourself and find peace, is learning to practice radical self-compassion, a shift so profound that it begins to rewire the way you see yourself and the way you interact with the world around you. Compassion is not a luxury, it is a lifeline, a medicine for the soul that is starving from years of criticism, self-blame, and fear. When you look back at the patterns of judgment that have run your life, you'll notice that they were born not from love, but from unmet expectations, from internalized pressure, from voices you carried with you from your past, voices that told you you weren't good enough, that you had to be perfect, that love had to be earned. And so little by little, you learn to attack yourself, to punish yourself for falling short, to compare your journey to someone else's highlight reel. But the healing begins when you choose a different response, when you dare to meet your imperfection with compassion instead of criticism. Imagine for a moment a child learning to walk. Every time they stumble, you don't scold them, you don't shame them, you encourage them, you pick them up, you smile and you say, "You're doing beautifully, keep going." That's compassion, and that is the very same way you must learn to speak to yourself. Every so-called mistake you make is not evidence that you are unworthy. It is evidence that you are alive, that you are learning, that you are growing, that you are on a journey. And when you stop punishing yourself for being human, when you allow yourself to extend kindness to your own heart, peace begins to take root in places where pain once dominated. Compassion means being willing to sit with yourself in your mess and not turn away. It means forgiving yourself for the times you didn't know better, for the days you acted out of fear, for the nights you let your doubts control you. Forgiveness is not about excusing your behavior. It is about releasing the toxic grip of judgment so that you can breathe again. The more you practice forgiveness, the lighter your soul becomes, and that weight you've been carrying, the one that says you're never enough, begins to fall away. And let's be clear, compassion is not weakness. It is one of the most powerful forces you can embody because it breaks the cycle of self-attack and begins a new cycle of love, healing, and freedom. The judgmental mind thrives in a world of black and white, right and wrong, success and failure. But compassion lives in the gray, the place where you can accept that you are a work in progress and still worthy of love. With compassion, you stop needing to be perfect before you allow yourself to rest. You stop needing to reach a goal before you allow yourself to feel joy. You stop needing to achieve external approval before you grant yourself internal acceptance. Compassion allows you to meet yourself in this moment exactly as you are and say, I am still worthy, I am still enough, I am still lovable. And the more you practice this, the more judgment loses its power over you. Peace does not come when everything in your life looks perfect. Peace comes when you stop fighting yourself, when you stop tearing yourself apart from the inside, when you extend to yourself the very same love you so easily extend to others. In the stillness of compassion, you discover that the voice of judgment was never your truth. It was only an echo of old pain, and once you stop feeding it, it fades. What replaces it is a voice that is softer, kinder, more empowering, a voice that whispers not what you lack, but all that you already are. Compassion becomes your compass, guiding you away from shame and into self-acceptance, away from fear and into love, away from chaos and into peace. And the more you live from that place, the more you realize that you were never broken, you were never behind, you were never unworthy, you were only waiting for yourself to come home. And that home is compassion. And in that home, peace is not something you seek, it is something you embody. Stop judging yourself, and to instantly find peace is learning to realign your inner dialogue with love, to consciously retrain the voice in your mind so that instead of being your harshest critic, it becomes your most loyal ally, your most compassionate guide, your most empowering source of truth. So often, judgment doesn't come from others, but from the way we speak to ourselves, the thoughts we repeat over and over again in silence, the words we never say aloud, but that echo in the chambers of our mind day and night. And if you listen closely, you'll notice how often that voice is cruel, impatient, unforgiving, filled with words you would never dare to say to someone you love, yet you repeat them to yourself without hesitation. You call yourself lazy when you need rest. You call yourself unworthy when you make a mistake. You call yourself less than when you compare your journey to someone else's highlight reel. That inner critic has been trained for years, sometimes decades, to look for what's wrong, to exaggerate flaws, to magnify insecurities, to hold you hostage in a prison of your own making. But here lies the truth. The voice in your mind is not who you are. It is a habit, a pattern, a conditioning. And like all habits, it can be changed. The moment you decide to interrupt that old narrative and replace it with love, you open the door to freedom. Realignment begins with awareness. Each time a judgmental thought rises, I'm not good enough, I'll never succeed, I always mess things up, you don't let it run on autopilot anymore. Instead, you pause, you notice it, and you gently but firmly shift it. You ask yourself, what would love say here? And you answer with a truth that is empowering. I am learning, I am growing, I am enough as I am. This practice may feel awkward at first because judgment has been so loud for so long, but with every repetition, you are rewiring your brain, building new neural pathways, transforming your default inner dialogue into one that supports rather than sabotages you. And here's the profound part. Love isn't just a feel-good word, it's a vibration, a frequency that your entire being responds to. When you choose loving thoughts, your body relaxes, your nervous system calms, your energy shifts, and you step into alignment with peace. The judgmental mind creates tension, stress, anxiety, but the loving mind creates expansion, calm, and trust. This is why people who master their inner dialogue radiate peace wherever they go. It's not because life is perfect for them, it's because they've trained themselves to return to love no matter what. And you can do the same. Imagine waking up in the morning, and instead of immediately thinking about all the things you haven't done, you affirm, I am grateful for another day to grow, to learn, to love. Imagine facing a challenge, and instead of saying, I can't handle this, you say, I am capable, I am resourceful, I am guided. Imagine making a mistake, and instead of spiraling into shame, you gently tell yourself, I did the best I could with what I knew, and now I choose to move forward with more wisdom. Every time you practice this realignment, you weaken the old pattern of judgment and strengthen the new pattern of self-love. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing a perspective that empowers you rather than destroys you. And here's the secret. The more you practice aligning your thoughts with love, the less power judgment holds, until one day you realize it no longer controls you. Peace doesn't come from silencing the mind completely. Peace comes from shifting the quality of the voice within, from transforming the inner critic into an inner coach, an inner guide, an inner friend. You don't need the world to stop judging you if you stop judging yourself. When you choose love as your inner dialogue, you step into alignment with the universe itself, because love is the language of the universe. And when you speak that language to yourself, everything in your life begins to reflect it back. Opportunities flow more freely, relationships deepen, creativity expands, and joy becomes your natural state, not because the world changed, but because you did. And the truth is, peace has always been inside you, waiting beneath the noise of judgment, waiting for you to choose a new voice, a new story, a new alignment. That alignment is love, and once you make it your default, judgment no longer stands a chance, and peace becomes your birthright.